In the heart of a glittering modern city, filled with luxury, power, and hidden crime, Victor Marino ruled like a king. To the outside world, Victor was a successful businessman with influence in politics, real estate, and high-end nightlife. But behind the polished image, he was one of the most feared mafia dons in the city. People whispered his name carefully, knowing that crossing him could ruin lives overnight. His empire stretched across nightclubs, construction companies, and underground deals that kept the city's darker side alive. Living beside him in a massive glass mansion on a hill overlooking the skyline was his wife, Sofia Marino. Sofia was admired everywhere she went. She was beautiful, elegant, intelligent, and always dressed in the latest designer fashion. At charity events and luxury parties, people envied her life. They saw the diamonds around her neck, the luxury cars waiting outside, and the glamorous life she appeared to live. But what the world couldn't see was the loneliness hidden behind Sofia's calm smile. Victor had once promised Sofia a life of protection and comfort when they married years earlier. At first, she believed him. He was charming, confident, and ambitious. But as his power grew, his attention slowly disappeared. Meetings, business trips, and secret deals filled his days and nights. The mansion became quieter, and Sofia often found herself sitting alone at the long dining table, staring at the city lights through the tall glass windows. She had everything money could buy, but none of the freedom she truly wanted. Most nights, Sofia stood on the balcony overlooking the city below. The streets were alive with people laughing, couples walking together, and music flowing from rooftop bars. Watching them, she sometimes wondered what it felt like to live a simple life where choices belonged to you, not to someone else's power. Everything began to change on a rainy evening when Sofia decided to attend a small art exhibition downtown. It was unusual for her to go alone, but she needed an escape from the quiet mansion and the endless routine of luxury events. The gallery was filled with colorful street art, music, and creative people talking passionately about their work. That was where she met Daniel. Daniel was a street artist known for painting powerful murals around the city. His art told stories about freedom, hope, and the struggles of everyday life. Unlike the wealthy businessmen Sofia usually met, Daniel wore simple clothes, had paint on his hands, and spoke with a calm confidence that didn't depend on money or status. When they first spoke, Daniel didn't seem impressed by Sofia's designer dress or elegant appearance. In fact, he didn't even know who she really was at first. To him, she was just another visitor curious about art. Their conversation started with a simple discussion about a mural displayed in the gallery. Daniel explained the meaning behind it, the idea that every city wall carries the untold stories of the people living in it. For the first time in years, Sofia felt someone speaking honestly to her without expecting anything in return. She found herself smiling naturally, something that had become rare in her life. Daniel's humor was simple but genuine, and he had a way of making ordinary moments feel exciting. When the conversation ended and Sofia returned home that night, she couldn't stop thinking about the way he had spoken to her, not as the Mafia Don's wife, but simply as Sofia. Days passed, but the memory of that conversation stayed with her. Eventually, curiosity led her back to the same art district where Daniel often worked on his murals. When he saw her again, he greeted her warmly, as if seeing an old friend. From that moment, their meetings slowly became more frequent. Sometimes they walked through streets covered in colorful graffiti. Other times they sat in small cafes talking about music, travel, and dreams. Daniel spoke about his goal of traveling the world and painting stories in cities everywhere. Sophia listened carefully, fascinated by how different his life was from her own. Daniel never asked about her wealth or personal life. In fact, it took several meetings before he discovered that Sophia was married to one of the city's most powerful men. When he finally realized who she was, the truth created a brief moment of silence between them. Daniel understood the danger of being connected to someone like Victor Marino. But surprisingly, Sophia seemed even more nervous than he was. Despite the risk, they continued meeting. Something about Daniel made Sophia feel alive again. Around him, she laughed more easily, spoke more honestly, and forgot about the invisible cage surrounding her life. Daniel saw the real Sophia behind the glamorous image the world admired. But deep down, Sophia knew their growing connection was dangerous. Victor's world was built on loyalty and control. In that world, betrayal was never forgiven. Even the smallest secret could create deadly consequences. The city's criminal network watched everything, and Victor's men were always alert to anything unusual. Still, Sophia kept returning to Daniel. One evening, they stood together on a rooftop overlooking the city's skyline. The air was cool, and the lights of thousands of buildings sparkled below them. Daniel looked at Sophia seriously and asked a simple but powerful question. Are you happy with your life? For a moment, Sophia couldn't answer. The question was simple, yet it touched the deepest truth she had been avoiding for years. Finally, she whispered the truth she had never admitted out loud. No, I'm not. That confession changed everything between them. As weeks passed, their emotional connection grew stronger. Conversations turned into quiet walks through the city, and quiet walks slowly turned into moments filled with feelings neither of them expected. One night, Daniel looked at Sophia and spoke honestly. I think I'm falling in love with you. Sophia's heart raced when she heard those words. She knew loving him could destroy everything: her marriage, Victor's reputation, and possibly even their lives. Yet, when she looked into Daniel's eyes, she realized she felt the same way. For the first time in years, she felt something real. But danger was already approaching. Victor Marino had begun to notice changes in his wife's behavior. Sophia was leaving the mansion more often, sometimes returning later than usual. In Victor's world, suspicion was enough to start an investigation. He quietly ordered some of his men to watch her movements. It didn't take long for them to notice Sophia visiting the same art district again and again. Eventually, one of Victor's men reported something troubling. Sophia had been seen talking to a young artist. When Victor heard the news, his expression turned cold. In the Mafia world, loyalty was the most important rule. Betrayal, even emotional betrayal, could damage a leader's authority. Victor ordered his men to find out everything about Daniel. Soon, Sophia sensed something was wrong. The atmosphere inside the mansion changed. The guards seemed more alert, and Victor watched her with a colder silence than usual. One evening, she received a warning from a trusted friend inside Victor's organization. Victor's men are asking questions about a street artist. Panic rushed through her. Without hesitation, Sophia rushed to find Daniel and warn him about the danger. When she finally reached him, her voice trembled as she spoke. Victor knows something. His men are looking for you. Daniel immediately understood the seriousness of the situation. Being targeted by a mafia boss could mean disappearance or worse. The two of them stood silently for a moment, realizing the truth. They had reached a turning point. Daniel looked at Sophia and asked the question that would decide their future. What do you want to do? For years, Sophia had lived a life controlled by someone else's power. Every decision had been shaped by fear, expectations, and the influence of Victor's empire. But now, for the first time, she had the chance to choose her own path. Taking a deep breath, Sophia made the bravest decision of her life. She chose freedom. That night, Sophia and Daniel left the city together. They drove for hours along dark highways, leaving behind the luxury mansions, neon lights, and dangerous power that had defined Sophia's life for so long. Victor's men searched across the city, but by the time they realized what had happened, Sophia was already gone. Back in his silent mansion, Victor stood alone by the window overlooking the same city he once controlled so completely. For the first time, he understood something that power could never give him. He could control businesses, politicians, and criminals, but he could never control a human heart. Meanwhile, far away from the city's dangerous world, Sophia and Daniel began building a quieter life. It wasn't filled with luxury or expensive parties, but it was honest and peaceful. And for Sophia, that freedom meant more than all the diamonds Victor had ever given her. Because sometimes, the greatest courage in life is choosing happiness, even when the whole world tells you not to.